Hello everyone, my name's Perry and welcome to my channel, the PIIverse. I'm doing a new video today, just releasing it after a few days off because I was on a big event for a Blossom Toronto meetup, my first. But anyways, I'm back at it. I will also apologize in advance because I talked to so many people at the Blossom event on Sunday at the Sky Dome, and I do call it the Sky Dome, that I pretty much lost my voice. So it's just starting to recover, but you can see it's still rough, or hear it's still rough. So anyways, this one's going to be an exciting one. It's called Build a House Without Blueprints? No? Okay, then why are you doing it with investment portfolios? So this is an Investing for Noobs video, only the second one I've done. So I think this would be very helpful for any one of you that are beginner retail investors. You'll find this very helpful, I'm hoping. So let's get moving on. And again, Perry, hello. Before we start, I want to preface this video with what inspired me to do this video. So as I was already mentioning, over the weekend, I attended my first Blossom meetup in Toronto alongside 1,400 fellow Blossomers. It was an amazing event inside the Rogers Center, aka the Sky Dome for all of us that still remember that. I was deluged by people walking up to me all the time, asking me a lot of questions. I'm very humbled that everyone wanted to have my opinion on something. So, but it was really good. But really, what stood out was how many people came up and asked me questions such as, what should I buy? Or which ETFs are best? Or what are your top ETFs? All questions related to that. Now, I thought to myself, these are questions being asked by new retail investors who are excited about the potential to create tangible monthly income, but they haven't yet thought through any of their goals or their strategy on how they were going to do it. They just have heard from friends or relatives or on the YouTube channels that somebody's making $2,000 a month or whatever, and you're like, oh, wow, this is something I want. And they want to sort of get off the old bank managed environment and go over there. So so basically I feel that they're new. They're sort of just coming into this environment, but they're lost. And then so I thought to myself, you know what? That also reminded me of me 3 years ago when I left the comforts of a bank managed portfolio to see if I could generate better steady income than my bank's portfolio. But for 3 months, I was lost. Those first 3 months, 3 years ago, I was lost. I had no strategy. I was just looking for whatever investments had high dividends to buy. I think I've heard in many of my interviews on that. And I started really getting lost and discouraged. I was like, okay, this is not working. I thought maybe I could do better, and I couldn't. And then I finally found my way, and then the rest is history. And then recalling my early days, it reminded me of a metaphor of trying to build a house without blueprints. I don't know why it came to me, but that's sort of what I thought about. And I thought, okay, you know what? So this weekend at the Blossom event is what inspired me to create this video. I'm really hoping to try to help all those brand new DIY retail investors, like I was 3 years ago, that just now are starting their journey. And by telling them what I want to tell them in this video, I'm hoping that some of you I'll short circuit what I wish somebody told me 3 years ago and said, hey, Perry, hold on a second. Don't rush here. I know you want to get somewhere, but let's come up with a plan. And now I really am hoping that this video will help inspire you to look at the idea of taking a step back if you haven't already. And that's what I'm going to hope we're going to do today. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. Alrighty, so here we are again. So let's get moving on this. And we're going to start, hang on one second here. We're going to start by giving you a notice to all viewers of my disclaimer. So I'm not a licensed nor trained financial investment or tax expert. I'm just a retail investor with a passion for investing, sharing my experiences along my own journey. And I want viewers to know that they must not take any of the content, thoughts, opinions in this video as financial advice. Do your own research and consider professional advice before investing. This content is for fun and entertainment only, and I'm hoping you are going to be either educated or, if not anything else, entertained. So let's move on now that we've gone through the disclaimers. All right. So as I always do with my videos, I believe in an agenda. So let's go through quickly the agenda. So the first one will be a picture this, which will sort of capture the metaphor that I was talking about. Then we're going to talk about a house and a portfolio both needing a blueprint. And then what is an investment strategy, which is what we're going to talk about quickly. And then what is an investment strategy? What does an investment strategy look like? And then we'll finish it off with conclusions. I'm really hoping this one will be a shorter video. It shouldn't be an hour. Sorry for those that are not liking my 1 hour videos. All right, so let's do this picture this. Sit back and listen to this. And imagine this scenario would be you moving away from your bank managed portfolio, starting your own journey, and to become a DIY investor. So you've lived in an apartment much of your life. Everything's been included. Your utilities, your appliances, parking, and maintenance. You just have to pay that monthly rent to the landlord, and then life is simple. You may not get all you want, like that garden and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a simple life. You pay your rent, and you have a month of a place to hang your hat. But deep down, you've dreamed of building that home of your own, a place that reflects your vision, that meets your needs and your wants, a place that is more than just a place to exist. It's your dream home. It's something you've always wanted as you've been living in that apartment. And then you finally do it. Something inspired you to do it. Something triggered it. I don't know what the reasons would be, but you go out there and say, okay, let's get going. You talk to your significant other or whatever, and let's get moving. So you go out and buy a plot of land. You're all excited. You're even scared because this is not the comfort of your own apartment. But you're inspired and eager to start building that dream home that you have always had in your head. You've had that vision, and you want to start making it become real. So the big thing is, but instead of first drawing up some blueprints, you immediately start ordering bricks and windows and doors and lumber and whatever else you think that belongs in your home. Based on what your vision, you're like, well, I guess we need some hammers and tools as well. You just start putting things together and say, look, I know what the house looks like. Let's get going. You had no plans. You have no structure. You're just shooting from the hip to get going as fast as possible. You don't want to sit and wait. You want to get the hammers hammering, and you want to get that house built. So let me ask you, based on that scenario, do you think your home will match your vision? Will you think it's going to be a solid, stable home that's going to last for a long time? Or will it be a money pit that you dreaded getting into because you didn't have a plan? No blueprints. Well, yes, as crazy as that sounds to build a home without any kind of blueprints, and we know almost no one would actually consider that. They would all say, of course we need blueprints, Barry. What are you talking about? Well, then my question is, this is how many DIY investors start building their portfolios using their hard-earned cash without first setting goals, building a strategy, or knowing exactly what they're constructing. So where they see no problem, where they see that it makes no sense to build a house without a blueprint, they totally, in many cases, say, well, I don't need a strategy. Just get me a bank account and an investment account, put some cash in it, and let's just search the internet and let's just start buying ETFs and stocks and bonds and whatever you want. So now we want to talk about that. If that's as crazy as it is, now let's talk about why it's so important in both cases to have a blueprint. A house and a portfolio both need a blueprint. We already know that for a house, so let's talk about why. When you're building a house, a solid house, a blueprint is a must. A blueprint transforms all the homeowner's goals, must-haves, wishes, desires into a structured plan that is used to meet all the homeowner's requirements. So it literally documents everything a homeowner wants out of their house and what they want to see from their house and when it's done. So it literally says, I want my house to look like this, and it documents, okay, is that what you want? Did you want a house in the south-facing side? So it really articulates what is in the homeowner's mind. The blueprint is what all tradespeople, suppliers, contractors will be looking to when they're doing their part in building the home. So whoever is actually going to start constructing the house and buying the land and everything like that, they'll be looking towards the blueprints to say, what does the homeowner want? Oh, why? Oh, okay, we don't want to be near a river. Okay, that's fine. Oh, okay, we don't want any windows on the south-facing wall. So the blueprint is literally the part that tells the tradespeople when they come with their hammers and shovels and everything like that and says, okay, where are we going? And it'll always guide them. The blueprint makes ordering the right materials, knowing where, what, and how to build, and addressing questions far simpler. Because it was already thought through in advance, in most cases it does. There's always a case where it may not. But for the most part, the blueprint has already answered those questions, so you're not going to Home Depot or whatever and saying, I'm just going to buy some OBS. Well, oh, no. The blueprint says we're not using that. We're going to be using this. So you walk in there with, instead of guessing what you're going to buy, you're going to basically know what to buy. Instead of guessing where you're going to put a window, you know where the window is going to be. So the blueprint makes life a lot simpler going forward, even though it took a lot longer for the blueprint to be created. But it was a critical time and effort spent in order to make sure that the house is going to meet your needs. Now, developing a blueprint is not easy and it takes time, as I said, but time and effort on completing the blueprint first will be rewarded 10 times over in lower costs, in quicker completion, in reduced long-term issues, and the results will meet the homeowner's needs, as opposed to when you were guessing what was coming out of your head, you would have likely said, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. So it is important to put that amount of effort and time in the beginning to build that blueprint, because it's going to reward you 10 times over later on. And again, I'm telling you what you guys already know. So in the case of building a house, this all makes sense. So let's convert that into when you're building a strategy. So when building a successful investment portfolio, an investment strategy is also a must. And it's overlooked so many times, but it actually is so critical to actually not overlook it. And I'm telling you from experience, it'd be best it's not being overlooked. So let's talk about it. So a strategy formally captures an investor's investment goals and then details the respective strategies and investment guidance that an investor looks to when building their portfolio. So it tells you in advance before you get started, here are the guardrails. Here's the direction you want to go. Here's the metrics you're going to follow in order to know that you are actually getting towards your goals. And it also identifies what the goals are. It's amazing how many people don't actually know what their goals are. They think they know, but without sitting down and pondering it, they don't actually know in many cases. With a well-defined strategy, building a foundation, managing investments, and maintaining the portfolio becomes simple to execute with reduced risk from rash investment decision making. Following your strategy keeps you disciplined and increases the chances your portfolio will meet or exceed your goals that you had initially set out. It makes your goals more sustainable, and it lets you sleep at night because you already know in advance what direction you want to go to. So because you are comfortable with the direction you're going towards, and that your portfolio is built on that direction and built on that strategy, it will actually make you sleep better at night if you built a strategy that you believe in. Another thing that's very important, and this is something that it happens too many times, everyone's strategy is unique, as it should provide direction on how to meet all the specific needs, risk tolerances, life situations, beliefs of the investor, not somebody else's. And this is important, I'm saying this, because another problem that happens all too many times from brand new DIY retail investors They look on the YouTube videos of these people that are successful or very popular. They go on Blossom, that that I'm on and stuff like that, and they see what other people are doing. Like, oh, look at what so and so is doing. Look what Perry's doing. And instead of basically saying I got to build my own strategy, unfortunately, some people just say I'm just going to copy yours. It was successful for you, so it's going to be successful for me, and that is a huge no-no. It isn't a problem to actually use a strategy that I've documented or somebody as a reference, but then you should be picking it apart and saying, well, Perry's an aggressive income investor. I'm not. I'm more conservative. So you should never copy anybody else's portfolio or copy their strategy. If you want to use that as an inspiration or a reference, that's not a problem, but it should be something you put on the table and then start picking it apart and building your own. So never copy somebody else's strategy and follow somebody else's portfolio, because they are not you. So what is an investment strategy? Many of you people know, okay, I know it's some kind of plan, right? But let's actually talk about what is an investment strategy. Put it in a little bit more higher level terms. An investment strategy can be flexible in its structure, but there are some suggestions on what it should look like or what it should include. So let me give you what I think should be in a strategy, an investment strategy. The first one are investors' goals, and this is absolutely one of the most important things, even if you don't do the other sections. Knowing what the investors' goals are and documenting clearly what your goals are is, in my opinion, the most important, even if you didn't do the strategy part, but I think you should still do all parts. So it's a documented short list of primary, my lips are floppy here, of primary objectives an investor wants to see out of their portfolio. This list should not be long and described in terms of actions or outcomes. For example, to do something or to reach something. It's an action outcome. So it's not talking about how you're going to do it. And that's what we're going to talk about here. These goals are not an how. They should always be defined as a what. So you're not going to explain how something works in a goal. You're basically going to explain what it is you want to accomplish. You want to reach a certain growth number. You want to reach $1 million. You want to have $5,000 a month in income. You want to make, so their goals are all directions or targets you want to reach. And again, there's more than one. And I'll show you my video later on that explains mine. But there are going to be a set of goals. I can't see anybody having more than 10, having 3, 4, 5, or 6, maybe. But you're not going to be having a long list. It'll likely be primary objectives of what you want to see out of your portfolio and out of your investments. And then for each goal, it can't hurt to have some clarifying metrics that can be included that would better define what the goal is. And I'm going to give you a quick one right now. If I turned around and said, I want to see my income portfolio grow year to year, I can add that with a clarifier saying, I want it to grow at least the rate of inflation. So that would be a clarifier to a goal, so that it helps you understand what kind of goal, to what's the extent of the goal. Like, is it like crazy? I want to grow 80% a year, or I just want to grow inflation. But anyways, it's a clarifier for the goal. The next thing is, and this is a very short section, it would be a high level strategy. And it basically is it basically is an executive summary that highlights each of the goal strategies and documents the balance and priority of each of the goal strategies. And we're going to talk about the goal strategies coming up. It's also explaining how they blend to meet the goals, because all your goals, it's important to know that the goals that you have defined are not conflicting with each other. Because if you have 2 or 3 goals and one says to grow and then the other one says but not to grow, like you know what I mean, there should not be conflicts. So the high level strategy would basically take a quick moment to say, here are the 5 goals and here are the strategies here's the titles of the strategies that are going to meet those goals, and show how they actually work together. It's just a summary. It doesn't have to be long. You don't even have to write this, but it just be sort of a highlight of making sure that all your strategies are working together. Now, the other thing I should say, you could even do that at the end after doing this section, which is the goal strategies to accomplish each goal. So goal strategies are basically one-to-one. There'll be a strategy for every goal. So as I'm saying here, each goal, a plan and strategy should be documented on how the goal will be reached. So goal 1 will have strategy 1. Goal 2 will have strategy 2, and so on. The strategy should focus on the action items and guidance to meet its respective goal. But it should also ensure that the action items complement the strategies of other goals, not to conflict with them. And again, this is sort of how the second section says on alignment and balance. But when you're creating the strategy for a goal, you should have in mind that the other goals have strategies too, and they should always complement each other. If you ever run into a point where one goal strategy is conflicting with another one, then you need to go back to your goals, because that is almost indicating that your goals have a conflict. So let that be a red flag saying if you're running into some conflicts between strategies, it's likely because maybe your goals have a conflict. Each action item or guidance rule should be detailed enough to lead clear investment directions and decisions for you, the investor. So they shouldn't be summarized to a point where you really are questioning, is there any value to this strategy element or this action item? It should almost give you a direction. And I'll give you one quick one. It should almost say that, again, I wouldn't say this, but I will buy and hold, and I will never rebalance my portfolio. So right or wrong, it is setting a very, very direct action saying that you will not use rebalancing in your portfolio. So that is very clear, very tangible. And if you as the investor have put that as an action item, it should be clear enough that you're like, whoa, okay, hold on. My strategy says I shouldn't do that. Again, that's a silly one, but I'm just using it as an example. It should be clear enough that you as the investor a year from now can say, okay, hold on a second. I was going to get into those REITs. And then you found out, oh yeah, but my strategy says I don't want to use REITs. So, okay. For each strategy, an articulate set of investing rules should also be of value. Explicitly what your strategy will and won't do, or any restrictions within that strategy. And again, I just used one here. I have one sort of saying that I'm just thinking about in my rules for my strategy, I would turn around and say that I wouldn't use closed-end funds. So that's actually a rule within a strategy, okay? So the more you can put in there on things you want and don't want to do or want to restrict, for example, my target yield, my target holding weight for any investment in my portfolio cannot exceed 5%. That's a rule. So it's part of the strategy, but it's a rule that helps you try to turn it around. You can also even set the level of confidence on that rule, saying I'm allowed to break it, but it has to be justified, or I will not break it at any time. Any more clarity you could put onto it, it helps you as the investor a year from now saying, why did I say that? So anything, the more you could document, the better. And finally, this helps. It's not needed, but it helps to know what tools you might use to track your metrics, because you can't meet goals. You don't know if you've met goals if you have nothing to track the metrics and to do that. So it can't hurt to already identify, okay, if I know what my goals are and I know what kind of portfolio I'm going to be developing, and I'm going to use an example like me, I'm an income investor. So everything I'm doing is high yield ETFs and income. So of course, having a tool like I use Snowball Analytics, but there's several others out there that says, okay, this tool helps me track dividends and distribution tracking. So when you're doing that, think about that as well when you're building your strategy. What tools will help you track your metrics so you know that you're on track for your goals? So I've explained what a strategy is, but now let's talk about what it looks like. So an investment strategy can be as informal or as formal as the investor wants. The process is the more important part. What you're writing or what you're doing is not as important as the process of thinking it through. You want to think through and write down your strategy that makes the job of building and managing your portfolio more focused and simple. So even if you don't want to go and pull out Microsoft Word, whatever, and write down a full document like I have, or big thing, even going through the process and research is like, yeah, you know what? I never thought about that. What kind of risk do I want? How conservative am I? It's just going through the thinking of it is even going to help you. The more you put thinking towards the strategy, the better. Documenting, in my opinion, personally speaking, if I write something down and it actually helps me ingrain and entrench that I'm understanding what I'm doing. It is honestly amazing how writing something down helps clarify anything you're doing, the goals, the strategies, whatever. So consider writing it down, but the process is the important part. Now, just to help you, and this is only going to be my example, so you guys can go do it whichever way you want. But I created my own high yield income investing strategy, and I created a detailed video that walks the viewer through my PIIverse playbook. Really watch it to see an example of it. I basically put it down here. It looks like this. And I released it about a month and a half ago. It is by far my most popular video in my entire channel because it literally tells everyone that wants it. This is how Perry's portfolio works. This is my goals, my strategy. So if you want to see an example of what a documented investment strategy looks like, take a look for this video. I'm going to put the link up here in the corner. Up on the screen, but I'm also putting this link into the description in case you missed it here. You can actually click it in the description. Another valuable tool explained in another video of mine called Tackling NAV Erosion Head On. That video had a table called the Investor Goal Spectrum. And it basically, you learn what it is in my video, then take it, what you basically do is learn what it is like to take this time to reflect on where you might locate yourself on the spectrum. And I'm going to call up the video right here, or the table. This is in this video, and I can't remember which slide it's on, but you will find it. I'm not going to get into this table specifically or in any form of detail, but this is an important table for you to actually understand and help you maybe as a prelude towards building your strategy is to look at this and say, so where am I? Like you could see the red dots on there. That is Perry's portfolio. So, and Perry's strategy. You could see that I have a little hint of growth. And then basically I am a hybrid investor because I have about 15% of my portfolio in growth stuff. I also have about 85% in income related, and then under income, you could see that in mine, I have a lot that's income focused and a lot that's income with growth focused. So I have a balance, but it's very important. It will really help you maybe open your mind a little bit more on building your strategy if you go through this video as well called Tackling NAV Erosion Head On. I know the title doesn't talk about strategy development, but it is actually a very valuable tool for strategy development. And the links again, I'm going to have it up here for this one as well. You could just look up there now, but also the links on both of these videos again will be in my description. So in conclusion, and it's faster than I thought, building an investment strategy is as critical as having a blueprint when building a house. It takes up more upfront research, time, and effort to fully understand what your investment goals are and how you will build and manage your portfolio to reach those goals. It does take a lot of upfront work. But the rewards for this upfront effort will pay you tenfold in focused investment, in effective, quick investment decision making, in avoiding mistakes, and peace of mind over the long term. Trust me, Most of us that started investing without a strategy have gone through the same thing. I've already told you my story at the beginning, so I'm not going to tell you here, but in my preface, I told you that I went through this as well. This is not every retail investor that moves away from the comforts of a bank managed, here's my money, and I'll talk to you when I retire, and moves into actually taking the bull by the horns and controlling their own investments will go through the same thing. So I went through it. I'm hoping with this video and some of my other videos on my channel that I can really have you guys short circuit that and avoid that kind of discouragement that I went through by knowing that it's very important to build yourself goals and strategy before you start selecting ETFs. If you have already started it, you might want to stop and pause and then go back and build a strategy. But if you haven't even started that yet, this is an important way to start. And watch my suggested videos. It takes some time to think through, research, and build your own strategy. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you look back, the future you will thank today's you for taking that time to think through your own strategy. I'm going to tell you right now, it will, honestly. And until next time, stay safe, stay investing, and I will see you in the PIIverse.